As you know, President Trump is prepping for his first overseas trip since taking office. He leaves at the end of the week, heading to Saudi Arabia, Israel, and eventually Rome. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster says it's, quote, a historic trip, as President Trump will visit the homelands and holy sites of 3 major world religions. Pastor Robert Jeffress is a member of President Trump's Faith Advisory Council, and he joins me now. Thank you so much for joining us, Pastor.
Thanks for having me.
My first question is what message is the president sending this week? And not just to heads of states across the globe, but also to religious communities across the globe and here as well.
It's often said that a president's first foreign trip demonstrates his priorities. And I think as you look at President Trump's itinerary for this trip, it shows he has the right priority, especially establishing peace in the Middle East. I mean, by going to the epicenters of world religions, he's demonstrating that although Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are radically different in their beliefs, they have a common interest, especially in defeating radical Islamic terrorism. And frankly, only a president like President Trump, who recognizes the reality of radical Islamic terrorism, has the credibility to build a coalition to defeat it.
So my question for you is yes, he is certainly wants to defeat radical Islam, but at the same time, he's trying to bridge the divide between some of these moderate Muslim communities, and he's making the effort during this trip. How does he walk that very fine line in doing so?
Well, I think the president recognizes that, for example, with Saudi Arabia, they were very distrustful of Obama after the Iran deal. He sees an opening there to forge a relationship to help build and to promote peace. And, you know, I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with a top White House official in the White House who partly has responsibility for planning this trip, and they made the point about how surprised heads of states were when the Trump administration contacted them. They said for the last 8 years they had been shunned by the Obama administration, which I found interesting because we had this image that Obama was the globalist and Trump is the isolationist, but in reality the opposite has been true.
So what is the administration doing so differently? Is it the fact that there's a lot more outreach going on?
I think that it's outreach going on. And again, you know, I kind of liken this to, you know, the fact that years ago Nixon went to Red China. He tried to work with the Soviets. And as I think Henry Kissinger said, had any other conservative tried this, they would have been crucified. But the fact that Nixon recognized the menace of communism gave him credibility and the capital he needed to build a relationship. I think it's the same here with President Trump. I believe conservatives, the American people, trust him because he recognizes the real threats of fanaticism around the world.
Okay, so not so much ignoring, but tackling head-on. My last question, tackling head-on, is the fact that it is a very special day today. We have a lot of moms watching. I know that you just came from service, so I'm curious as to what your message is and what you shared today on this very special Mother's Day.
You know, people who've never read the Bible have this idea that the Bible denigrates women or treats them as second-class citizens. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Bible exalts women, and especially exalts mothers. I mean, you look at the Old Testament, take Moses' mother, Jochebed. Had it not been for her creativity, Moses would have been killed as a baby by Pharaoh. There would have been no Exodus from Egypt, no 10 Commandments, no Charlton Heston, and no Israel today. Or you look in the New Testament at Mary. Were it not for her faithfulness, we would not have a Savior of the world, Jesus Christ, and all the good he has done. So today is a day to celebrate all mothers, as the poet said.
All right, Pastor, I'm so sorry I have to interrupt you. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. We're going to have more news right